This week is the CFP, College Football Foundation, 5th annual Extra Yard for Teachers Week, and then continues this weekend with a nationwide celebration of teachers. And I just wanted to, go on record and say that, how important teachers are, not only in Ohio, Columbus, throughout the country, and how much of an impact they had on my life. And I don't think they get nearly enough credit. That the work that teachers do to our youth in shaping their lives is critical. And so I just wanted to, publicly thank all the teachers again, throughout the state of Ohio, Columbus, and then throughout the country. Miami, Ohio coming in here this week, 3:30 kick. This is a team who's been through, they've been in tough environments before, so they're not going to be intimidated coming into the shoe. And again, several, Ohio guys on that team who will be highly motivated coming in here. So, we got to adjust to the 3:30 schedule and do a good job of preparing and get ready to play a good game.
That will open up questions from row middle. Dave.
Ryan, I was rewatching the game, and Indiana's defensive coaches told the Fox broadcasting crew, Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt, that they wanted to attack the right side of your offensive line. What do you make of those comments, and did you notice that during the game they were trying to attack the right side of your offensive line?
I didn't. I think, Brandon Bowen and Wyatt Davis are two of the better linemen in the country, and so it's not something really even noticed all that much during the game. I think they did bring, when we were into the boundary that side, some corner blitz a few times, but for the most part they were lining up in their defense and playing their defense. But I think anytime there's somebody in there who's untested, like Brandon, hasn't really played a bunch of tackle, then they want to find out what you're made of, and Wyatt's getting more and more film out there for people to look at, but I think they're answering the test.
Front row left, Mitch.
Hey, Ryan. After starting the season the way you did, how difficult is it to keep your guys on task and keep pushing them to get better? I mean, they played so well against, obviously, overmatched opponents.
Yeah, I mean, we played well, but we didn't play great. We played hard, we played tough, but we have so many things to clean up. And when you watch the film, it's actually really frustrating to watch. There's so many things we could be cleaning up there. So, the coaches are working at it. We started that on Sunday and making sure we started addressing some of those issues. But it was the same thing when we started a couple weeks ago. And it was all about, don't worry about what people are saying. I don't know how much respect we had throughout the country coming into the season. But we said ignore the noise. Well, it's the same thing now. Just because we won a couple of games hasn't changed anything for us. And so we need to stay focused on right now. And we do have some momentum going right now, but we got to keep that going. And that's incumbent upon the coaches and the leaders to make sure that we stay focused and we don't get distracted.
Right behind, Bill.
Ryan, when you were thinking about, I guess maybe the framework of what you wanted your defense to look like, how much of your own successes and failures as an offensive play caller, things that worked well against you and things that didn't work well, informed those decisions?
Well, I think that you watch a lot of film and you see different people play, and each week it's thousands and thousands of clips of film, and then you go into a game plan and you have different ideas, and you go up and some of the best coordinators in the country, in this league and some of the leagues that I've been in, and you just try to figure out what the trends are moving forward. And I think what we're doing right now is right where we need to be. You can see a lot of teams are kind of going down this road right now. But again, when it came down to it, you look at who you have, you look at your 4-down front, because we recruited well up front there, with Larry and the guys he's got, and then combine that with stopping the run, which Greg and Larry and Al and those guys doing a great job of. When you match that in with Jeff's background of zone coverage, man-to-man, zone pressures, all those different things that he has in his background, I think that gives us an edge, and that's schematic. But at the end of the day, that's not really what we're doing a great job. To me, it's that we're playing tough, we're playing hard, we're tackling well, we're running to the ball, we're playing with good emotion. Because again, watching the film, there's so many things to clean up, and you can overcome a bunch of that stuff with effort and with toughness, and that's what we're doing right now. But if we want to get to where we need to get, we're going to have to make sure we clean up a lot of these things.
When you're watching film of opponents, or you're in that room back there drawing stuff up on the whiteboard, is there any common thread among the defenses you face that give you the most trouble, or going into that week it's going to be like you're going to get a good test? Is there any commonality among those defenses?
No, not really. I mean, I think everyone tries to stop the run. That's the first thing that they do when they walk into their room. They have to stop the run. And so however teams do that, whether it's pressure, whether it's put an extra guy down in the box, whatever that might be, they're going to do that. But rarely do we see teams that just go completely off the deep end and just change what they do, because typically that doesn't go well. There's a lot of spring practices, a lot of preseason practices, where guys, are getting a lot of reps in that defense. And if you start changing that, or you start going to a blitz that you've never seen before, and all of a sudden you get looks you haven't practiced, that's when you can get hurt. So that's why you build that foundation in the spring, you build that foundation in the preseason, and you go back to it. Now, how can we change up the look that's simple for us but difficult for the defense? That's the key to coaching.
Right next door, Ari.
Hey, Coach, I think at the beginning of this year, with you replacing Urban Meyer and having to replace a quarterback, the national viewpoint for this program was skepticism in terms of whether or not you guys could be at the elitist of elite still. And so far, through 3 games, the way you guys have played, the tone and the viewpoint of this program has shifted from a national perspective. I'm just wondering, how early in a season as a coach, and maybe this is your first year going through this, do you know you might have something? When other people are taking notice, do you internally kind of get that feeling too? And you look around in the room and you look at the film and you see, do you feel like this team has something special?
I've felt that for a little while now, yeah, and I've talked to the team about that. I think we can be great. We're nowhere near where we need to be, but we can be. We have the ability, we have the talent, we have the leadership. But if we want to get to where we want to go, we have to take it 1 week at a time. And again, I know it's cliche, but we keep talking about you just have to do a great job today. And today's a really hard Tuesday practice, and if we train the way we train, then Saturdays will take care of themselves. If we stay focused, if we don't get distracted, those type of things. But it's the same thing. It's the same people, I'm sure, who had those doubts early on, and now, they're excited about what they see, and that's great. But that has nothing to do with us. This is about the way we go to work every day, and we have to just stay focused on our jobs.
When you look at the position you're in, and I know there's probably not a lot of time for reflecting, but there are so many different routes in coaching to get to this point, to get to the highest point in college football, being a head coach. Do you ever look at the roster? Do you ever look at the film? Do you ever look at the room and go, this is my first year and look what I'm in charge of, and feel, thankful that you are in this position and to be able to, lead a team that's this good this soon in your career?
Yeah, I think you always are. I think now is not the time for that. You're just so immersed in what you're doing, and obviously extremely grateful to have this opportunity. But to be around the coaching staff I'm around, the type of people is what makes it special. And this is obviously a special place. And I think right now, the culture is strong, and what we're doing right now is exciting in terms of guys are playing hard. There's great energy and recruiting throughout the team. Guys are playing hard. We're getting a lot of guys on the field. We're developing some of the youth in the program, and so we got to keep building on it. But it's as we all know, we have to produce each week. It's a performance-based business, and we have to bring it this week. Otherwise, that all goes down the tube. So challenge is to continue what we're doing right now.
Far left, Lori.
Coach, kind of jumping off Ari's question about when do you know what your team is, when do you start getting a good idea of what your opponents are without going back to, say, a true freshman quarterback's high school film? Is this the time of year where you're starting to get your arms around what you're going to see on Saturday ahead of Saturday?
A little bit. You're starting to get more and more film out there, so you're getting a better idea based on what their foundation is. And, they're going to have adjustments in game. But every game it gets a little easier to be able to recognize what they're doing. But, yeah, I don't think you truly know what a team is until you get towards midseason. Guys start making adjustments. Guys make changes, personnel, schematically, whatever that is, to adjust their team. And that's college football. So I think as we start getting in here to the next few games, then teams start to solidify themselves.
Since you talked about getting an idea early on that this team had the capability of being something special, what was it that gave you that sense?
Just day to day, the type of people that are here, the type of kids that are here, their work ethic, the way that they motivate each other, the way they work in the weight room, academically, all phases. They're the kind of kids that you want your family to be around. You want your son to be around. There's great role models, and my son goes into that locker room, and they're great kids to be around, and there's a lot to be said for that.
Front row right, Austin.
Ryan, one of the first things you said after the game was, Justin left some yards on the field, and he acknowledged that as well. When you reviewed it on film, what was causing that?
Well, there's a lot that goes into it, and again, it's experience. We talked about that going in. That we've won handily here a couple games, but still, the experience of playing quarterback still doesn't have a whole bunch under his belt, and so it's one thing to do it in practice, another thing to do it in a game. And the more reps you have under your belt, the more comfortable you are. And going back and looking at the film on 2 of those throws, I mean, he had a guy right in his face. He did. On the long one to Chris, he had a guy coming right on his arm. And then the touchdown that he missed to Austin, same thing. There was a guy right in his face. So, there's a lot that goes with that. We got to clean up the protection. We got to clean up the throws. He's going to have to make throws. And he gets hurried and he gets pressured. He gets hit. But overall, he's managing the game well. And, just keep watching the film and learning from it. So much of it is experience at quarterback.
He referenced setting his feet some. If somebody's barreling down on your face, maybe that's hard. But how do you guys work on that? How do you correct that issue?
Well, in practice, what we do is we typically have somebody who's there, so it's not just you're out in open space. It's very, very different for a quarterback, like when he's on 7-on-7 coming up in high school or even in practice when there's nobody around you and you're throwing a football. There's always going to be somebody around you when you're in a game. So we'll have people during 7-on-7, kind of stand in there and simulate the rush. Sometimes a coach will jump up in front of him. He'll have to slide his feet, things like that. Sometimes in the drills, we'll throw different bags at his feet to make him feel that presence of a body right there. And again, he's come a long way, but we're continually building on that. But again, I think where he is right now is light years ahead of where I thought he'd be. So we'll just keep working those drills, and the more he feels comfortable, the better it'll be.
Ryan, I'm not sure how much college football you watched this weekend. You guys probably got home a little bit earlier than we did Saturday. But there were quite a few mistakes late in games that cost teams the opportunity to win. I'm wondering, how much time do you guys spend on creating awareness, building awareness, and teaching guys on the field, off the field about those late games situations?
Yeah, we do a lot of it in the preseason and then in spring. Preseason, we do a bunch of situations where we talk that through and all the different things. Fridays are typically a really good time for us to do that in walkthroughs where we'll go through these different situations and go through the plays that we would call in those type of situations. Mike and Kevin are really on top of the game management in terms of the clock, when to take a knee, when not to take a knee. When games like this come up, we'll talk about it. We'll actually put the film up and as a staff talk about, what would we do in this situation and what plays would we call, what defenses will we call, and just it triggers great conversation. And so, I think you can overdo it sometimes with those situations, and become distracted, but you got to have your plan ready to roll, and you got to have great communication, and those decisions should already be made before you go into the game.
Third row left, Dan. Ryan, you've had some freshmen who have already played 3 games now. How much over the next couple of weeks do you have to have conversations about, which of these guys should we redshirt and which of these guys should we keep playing all year?
Yeah, that conversation is going to be happening pretty soon. And, these guys came here to play, and so we want to play with depth, and we want these guys to play. And so, when in doubt, we're probably going to play them if we think that they can help us this season and really create depth. If we think it's a situation where, we're already 3 deep at one position, he's probably not going to get on the field other than, maybe at the end of a game, then we probably won't. We'll try to be really smart about that. We wouldn't want to burn anybody's red shirt, but at the same time, the more experience they get this year, the better they'll be next year.
What's kind of your philosophy on that? I know Urban Meyer's philosophy was we really don't redshirt unless we have to. Kind of what's your philosophy on, whether a guy should redshirt, whether that's beneficial for them?
Yeah, I think that when you say we're going to redshirt this person, they almost start to lose hope a little bit. Like, okay, I guess I'm not playing this year. And so we don't like to do that. However, with this new 4-game rule, it allows the opportunity to get these guys in the field to figure out, can they help us this year? And if they can't, we want to play them. If they can't, then usually typically we'll kind of hold off and wait until it's an emergency situation or we need them at that point in the game. But we certainly would not tell somebody at this point of the year, hey, you're redshirting for the year. We just don't know. Here are the games you've played. If we put you back in a game, it's because you can really help us win a game or 2 or 3. And then we'll kind of just make the decisions as they come up.
Front row middle, Joey.
You touched on Brandon Bowen at the top. For a guy coming off injuries, you seem pretty pleased with his performance. Is he maybe ahead of schedule where you expected he would be?
Well, I don't know. I don't know about head of schedule in terms of that. I mean, he's fully cleared and he's 100%. So, you know, it's not like we were expecting him to take longer to get going. You know, he came off his injury. He had his surgery last year, and he's 100%. But I will say that he is practicing, you know, at high level. I think he's playing strong. And as we start getting, you know, into, you know, tougher games and the season wears on and his body, you know, starts to get worn down a little bit, that's going to be the big challenge for Brandon, and see if he can withstand the whole season and stay healthy and take care of his body. But so far, so good.
And any more clarity as far as the backup quarterback spot? Chris Jugnoff's come in first.
Yeah, not really. I mean, the more Gunner is here, the more he can learn the offense, then the more he can, you know, show what he can do. It's hard during preparation. You know, the bye week's a little bit better time for that. We can't really, you know, let those guys compete. And they kind of split reps with the twos because we're trying to get the starter ready. But the more that Gunner can learn the offense and feel comfortable with the terminology, the reads, the progressions, the protections, the better off he'll be. So no change right now, but he's learning more and more.
You mentioned Justin being light years beyond where you thought he would be. You meant that just mechanically, and what needed to be fixed there?
Nothing needed to be fixed. It's just, again, when somebody, you know, with that little experience comes into a situation like playing quarterback at Ohio State, you know, there's just a lot of things that go on. There's a lot of things that, you know, he needs to handle, and so far he's handled them. But, you know, he's going to quickly learn here is that, you know, at Ohio State, you know, the more you win, the more the stakes get higher and higher, and you know, the more is expected. So that all comes with it. But he's got a good head and shoulders. I think he handles it well. He's got good poise, and he and Mike got to get in that room and just keep working on getting better.
Somebody, one of the receivers had mentioned preseason that they thought he had a better arm than Haskins. Is there a part of him that still is just learning how to use that arm strength the best way? You know, the right touch, that sort of thing.
It's hard to compare. I mean, arm strength is like saying, you know, who hits the longest drive. You know, it's not really something that's that important. I mean, if somebody has significant, you know, arm strength issues, that becomes a problem. But for the most part, it's how quick can the ball get out, how accurate can you be, can you anticipate, can you throw a touch, those type of things. And Justin has as strong as arm as he needs. And now it's just, again, seeing the reads. And the more comfortable you are with your feet, and the more comfortable you are with your reads, your progressions, protections, all those things, and just seeing the coverage, the better off he's going to be.
Yeah, you kind of took my question. You knew Justin was very talented. Is there something that there's just no way you could have known that he has pleasantly surprised you or alternately concerned you?
No, not really. No, I mean, I think when you look at the way he approaches his work, you know, he handles it like a pro in terms of knowing when he steps on the field. You know, he can take a meeting to a field. That's important for a quarterback. There's a lot of guys who are talented out there, but when you need to take, you know, 20 reps to run a play, that's not good. You know, we throw a lot of offense at him. I mean, we're doing a lot of things on offense right now, and you know, whether it's, you know, the spread stuff or the 12 stuff or under center or shotgun. I mean, I would say right now we're probably doing more stuff now overall than we've ever done, just in terms of, you know, variety. And so for him to be able to handle all that is strong.
And you're playing a team this week that their coach even said on their conference call that if we were playing a recess game, you'd have the first 85 picks. I know that guarding against complacency is a major thing here. How do you do that this week?
Well, I think you just get on the film and you've started off with, you know, what corrections need to be made, not only by your unit, but also by, you know, just personally. What do you need to work on this week to get better? And then nothing can change, you know, whether it's game 3, game 7, game 8, you know, human nature tells you to cut corners, tells you to change things, easy to get distracted, a lot of people in your ear. None of that stuff can change. You know, we have good momentum right now. We have to keep that going, and we can't get distracted. And once that happens, then you set yourself up for failure. So that'll be the focus this week. It's not going to be manufactured. We're not just going to make that up, but we're just going to hold them accountable like we always have. And, you know, that doesn't change from when we were in the spring to when we were doing preseason workouts. Every day has to be consistent. And, you know, so far we've done that, but it's something we have to stay on them definitely about.
Front row left, Doug.
Is there anything about Justin's natural throwing motion that would give him a tendency to throw high if he's not careful?
No, not really. I mean, most most guys, when you look at them coming out of high school, if they overstride, then they have a tendency to sail the ball. Dwayne was the same way. JT was the same way when we first got here. Justin is no different. If you overstride, typically your elbow drops. And so, that's why we have the hula hoops out there, and that's just something, but that's with any quarterback. And so, we have baseball nets and different things that we have to drill that. But again, he's not unique in that situation.
Justin has played well. When we talk to Justin, he's very low-key about it. He's keeping it team focused and all that. Did you tell him to be that way?
No. I mean, that's Justin. He's one thing I tell all the quarterbacks is you got to be yourself. There's certain characteristics that all leaders have that really good quarterbacks have, and traits and virtues. But at the end of the day, you have to believe in who you are and you have to be yourself. And JT was very different than Dwayne, and Justin's very different than Dwayne or JT. And so you have to just be yourself in the end. Now there's certain things that we're all working on to make him to be the leader that we need him to be in the end. But that's with any young quarterback. And so we'll keep working at it. And he's good. He takes the coaching. He's very intelligent. And again, all we can ask is that he gets better every week.
And along the lines of some of the things asked today, last week when you were talking about this team, you mentioned, I think, the phrase best in the nation a couple times, that you guys want to be the best in the nation at this. Just what context would you like your guys to have in their head of, you got to win Saturday, you got to win in the Big Ten, but do you want a belief or a thought process around here that, yeah, we should be the best in the nation at what we do? Do you want that kind of thought out front?
Yeah, for sure. We've talked about it before that we want to be the best at what we do, and we've talked about what that means, whether it's a sniper in the military or the best surgeon. And there's no small surgeries if you're a surgeon. There's no small games at Ohio State. You got to be, if you're the best in America, then you need to show that every week, and that's our goal. And we're not ashamed to say that. I mean, we want to be the best, but that's another conversation. How do you go about doing that? And that's to stay focused on this game and really just this practice. If you can just focus on this practice right now, have a great Tuesday. Because when we've played good, we've had good Tuesday practices. We've had good Wednesday practices. And when you put that in the bank, when you get into the game, that's what you can fall back on.
All right, Tim? Yeah, earlier, several weeks ago, the lament was y'all didn't have necessarily a number 2 running back who had asserted himself. What kind of sense of relief is it, I guess, after the last couple of games, especially after Saturday, to see Master Teague rise to that occasion?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's relief as much as it is just excitement to see him get going, because I think we all kind of had an idea what we had, but it was hard because of these nagging things that were going on, and we couldn't get him practicing and get him going. And then, it's kind of the way we've been talking about it leading up to this week. We said he had 3-4 weeks of practice in, and he was just about ready to get going, and he did. And so that was exciting to see for sure. And he needs to assert himself and start to be a guy we can count on.
And when you look at your defense, Josh Proctor had a couple of plays he could have made Saturday on top of it. But who are you seeing that's really rising there? Obviously, Tariq Smith got banged up again last week. I was wondering what his status was, but how much has been able to play those young guys paid off already early in this season? I'm talking about, throughout the defense.
Yeah, no, it's hard to pick out one or two guys. I think they're all kind of swarming to the ball, and different guys have flashed at different times. Josh was in a couple opportunities to make those plays. One of them, his eyes were actually looking to match somebody, so it kind of caught him, and it looked funky because it hit his knee. But his eyes weren't on the quarterback at that play, but he was in the right spot to make the play. And he's flying around. He's doing a great job. But there's a lot of guys over there that are working at it. I think as a defense, we've been able to play some of that depth. I think the depth is getting better. They're playing better now as the more experience they have. But again, when you watch the film, there's so much to improve on. There's so many things we got to get cleaned up. So. I wouldn't say there's any one guy, but guys have definitely flashed in their own opportunity when they've been out there.
Second row middle, Bruce.
I think 3 times now you've said that there's a lot of things on film without, causing the empire to topple from within. Can you share with us, take us inside what they are?
I wouldn't say it's one or two things. It's just, alignment, assignment, execution, fundamentals, just all those things that, when we're focusing on playing hard and playing tough and playing physical, you're not talking about those other things. You're not talking about the exact step you're going to take. We don't care. We knock the guy out, knock the guy over. Knock the guy back if you're an offensive lineman. Take that ball, put it chin, 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 and run as hard as you can. And so without that, we have no chance. Okay, now can we do that with also high end execution, high end fundamentals, and if we can do that, then we can take the next step.
You made the comment after the game Saturday that you want to correct without creating resentment. Safe to say that's not been a concern of football coaches down through the ages. Maybe some of the ones who coached here, like Woody, Bo, Michigan and others. Like, I wonder where that mindset comes from you. Is that from a leadership thing?
It's funny you say that because I actually talked to a bunch of people about Woody Hayes, and he actually, from what the stories I've heard, is that he didn't create resentment. That he was really hard, but he didn't create resentment, and the players loved him. And I think that's really important. Is a great coach can make corrections, show someone where they need to improve, but then don't belittle them or make them feel like they're inferior because they made a mistake. If they're going really, really hard, here's how you become great, and that's really, really important. And with young kids, we have to keep them focused as well. That's part of this. But these guys are willing to go hard, and it just goes back to the whole thing about love. Do they fear you? Do they love you? And I think that right now our guys love us as coaches. We love them, and so that's healthy in my opinion. And so that's our goal this week: make those corrections, don't create any resentment, and keep building.
Bill alluded to Coach Martin's comment earlier about the recess, and you get the first 85 picks. I wonder if ever at New Hampshire or maybe Temple, can you think back on a time where you went into a game where it looked similarly unbalanced in that regard, and what's the mindset of the coaching staff when you were on that other side?
Yeah, I've coached a couple different places, and all you'd really do when you look into a game is just trying to execute, and you don't worry so much about all that. I've been in that role before, but that has nothing to do with your team, your execution, your motivation, things like that. It's an opportunity, and every week's an opportunity, and so you look at it that way. And again, it ends up going back to your training. So as hard as you practice, as hard as you work, that's what you're going to come back to in the end, and how hard you prepare. And some of our guys on Friday night before the game, they're up in their room when I'm doing bed check, and they're going through their tips, they're going through their film, they're going through all those stuff to get themselves prepared. And as long as we're really challenging our guys to make sure they're doing that in preparation, physically, mentally, emotionally, and then playing on the field takes care of itself.
We got time for two more. Fourth row, left center, Patrick.
After the game, Justin talked about what he thought he didn't do well. He also talked about going to JK after the dropped touchdown and telling him to let it go. Chris said he also came to him after one of the high passes and took credit for that. I'm curious, just his improvement as a leader. You talked preseason about needing to see more of that. Have you seen that as the season has kind of gotten underway, him taking that ownership?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and the guys on the team, really respect him and the way he goes about his business. And I saw that same thing too. It's easy to go in the tank after a play like that. It's kind of a routine play. We didn't make it. And as frustrating as that is, we need to move on and play the next play. And that's a credit to all the guys, is that there's no reason to look back on it and start to struggle in terms of moving forward. You got to move on to the next play. That being said, we got to make those plays. And so that's what we'll drill this week.
And far right over here, Clay.
In hockey, they have the Gordie Howe hat trick and a goal and assist in a fight. Do you think Chris Olave could start kind of like the daily double, TD catch, and a block punt? Is it what he's doing starting to become, I don't know, legend?
Well, he certainly the last 6 games he's had his production's been off the charts, but that's the way he practices. And when you go back through and watch the film of the last few weeks, he's practicing that way. And this is a guy who's highly productive for a reason, because that's the way he works. He knows what he's doing when he's out there. He takes his job very serious, and he practices really, really hard. And anytime you practice really, really well, you gain the confidence of the guys around you. And like on that punt block, I think everybody on that team believed he would block the punt if everybody did their job. So Taraja Mitchell goes through and knocks the shield back. Austin Mack pours it into the right shield, and that whole thing collapsed down. And that without those two guys, that never would have happened. And then Chris comes off the edge. So it's belief based on your practice habits. If we're throwing a go ball or we're throwing a post, and we're dropping it in practice, or we're not where we're supposed to be, there's no belief there. But when you do it in practice, and you believe in somebody, then that makes a big difference in game, because confidence is critical, especially when it's time to execute on the game field. So,
Coach, thank you very much.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
That will be the end of our transcription service for today. And we'll go ahead and bring Coach Al Washington down. We'll open up the floor, front, second row left. Bill?
Al, I know when you guys came here and put this new defense together, you weren't necessarily harping on what happened last year, but you did have a lot of players that Ryan said several times felt, a little salty about how they played last year. I'm just wondering how you go about maybe harvesting that mentality without focusing so much on sort of the schematics of what happened last year.
Just, every day, you take the field, you got a purpose. I think every day you go to work, you should have the goal to do it better than the day before. And so when you look at last year for each player, I think we approach it every day like we've got to improve, we've got to do what we know we can do mentality. So I think that's their mindset. That's our mindset. It's been that since day one, and that's our mindset going into this week.
I know typically when something's new, people get excited about it, and they're excited about what it can become. Obviously, you guys are playing well, but there seemed to be almost immediate buy-in to what you all as coaches were preaching to these players. And just wondering from your perspective why maybe you think that was the case.
Well, I think it starts with Coach Madison and Coach Hafley, to be honest. I think they outlined a clear plan. And I think as a player, the plan that we outlined, I think really competitive guys get excited about it. And I think that's the major reason, to be honest with you. I think it's linebackers, D-line. I mean, Coach Johnson, what he's done from his time here and what he's doing this year is incredible. But I think the back-end buy-in, the whole defense buys into the message, and they have. So if you were to ask me where does the credit go, I think it starts with those two, to be honest.
Front row right, Tim from Lettermen Row.
Yeah, Al, watching Pete Werner this year compared to last year, it seems like he's not only firing, he's almost got a hair trigger in recognition. What are you noticing about his game just as this season is developing?
Well, the best play was the short yardage play. They hadn't run that play. They hadn't run in 2 years. It was a really good play. It was under center, quarterback reverse pivoted. They ran an outside zone scheme, pin pull, of which they had the numerical advantage. And Pete, that play, not only did he support the run and hard joint the block, he made the play on the tackle and knocked the guy back. Because, I mean, you would think like that play, you could fall and get a yard. And credit Coach Madison, again, man, like, I think you just said the key thing was they anticipate. I think his wisdom in terms of being able to see an offense and kind of see what they're trying to do based on what their formation is helps a lot. And I think when guys know what's coming, they play faster.
In other words, you can see he played last year too, in that, right? I mean, is that what you're reaping the benefit of?
I think so, but I think a lot has to go into what you just said. I think the guys anticipate what's coming. But again, you take that play. They hadn't shown that. But you're hardwired, man. You play hard, and it worked out. That was a huge play.
Well, a quick thing, did they the snooker play where they got y'all for the one touchdown?
Oh yeah.
Was that y'all have seen a steady diet of wide screens for all year?
Yeah.
Was that just a play off that? And what do you reinforce with like Tough and the defense going forward?
Yeah, well, that play there. I mean, that was at that part of the field. That's where they show their tricks and their shots and. It was a good fake. I mean, hell, we were aggressive. They played on that and just got the ball off. If you watch that clip, we had a guy close, and he threw it. And so, I mean, I guess when you're aggressive like that, those things happen, And a consistent, we can't consistently obviously give those up, but we're not going to lose our stinger, and challenge our guys to, just everybody be sound, do their job as best they can, and we'll correct the mistakes as we go. But we didn't, after that play, we got back and, we just said, all right, guys, here's what happened. If it happens again, this is what we do, and let's move on, keep playing,
Front row right, Austin from Lettermen Row.
Hal, I know you've got these questions a lot about, last year and the improvement, but you can only go back to March, January to see the improvement. Is there a different sense of confidence or aggression or anything else in your room since you first got here?
Yeah, I think our guys are starting to feel more confident, but our focus is on what we need to improve on. And so, I think our guys are really focused on, cleaning up the little things that need to be cleaned up, because as the year goes, this opponent we have coming up this week, we're going to get everybody's best shot. And so the whole goal is at the end of the year, you're playing your best football. The only way you do that is you incrementally get better and you focus on what you need to improve on. So I think our guys are feeling confident, but they also, like today's practice is going to be you ain't going to feel good. You got new plays in, you're going against a new opponent, and we're physically going to challenge them, and emotionally they got to be into it. So I think they feel confident, but they the work that needs to be done. I think that's their focus.
When you talk about some of those little things, what are you emphasizing with them at this point?
Just stance, eyes, just for me, hand placement, all these little things that when you play really, really good teams and really good players, just think on one-on-one, you're going against someone who has equal talent or better talent. Your technique's going to be the equalizer. And I think as players, that's why the little things, like when Coach Hafley talks about your footwork has to be accurate so you don't lose a step. Coach Johnson talks about his hand placement so that you can get inside leverage, so you can get off the block that much sooner to make the play. All that little stuff is what we have got to attack, and that's what our focus is. So those are, for example, some things that we focus on.
Front row left, Nathan from Cleveland.com.
Baron Browning had said that the relationship you guys developed early on has been the reason why he's started the year so well. Just how did you try to reach him early on, and what worked there?
Well, the reason why Baron is having success is because he's worked really hard, and he's talented, but he worked. And I think we do have a good relationship. It's honest. He has a relationship with my wife, my kids. I think all that stuff's important whenever you're working with somebody. But to answer your question, how do I reach? He's a good kid, man. He wants to do well. And I think our relationship is honest. We don't play the PC. If something's not right, it's not right. And if something's right, we talk about it and we build on it. So, and through that process, I think we've grown closer. But I think that's a big reason why. I think when you deal with people and they're honest with you, you don't have to worry about. There's no, there's nothing ambiguous, man. Everything's clear. And if you want to do well, this is what you need to do. You go about the business of doing it. So credit Baron for his success. But he's still got a lot of things to improve on. And I know he would, if he was in here now, he'd say the same thing. So that's what our focus is.
He's playing with a lot more confidence this year, I guess, kind of what you're talking about, too. Mm-hmm. Some of that, I assume, probably just comes from getting on the field more, playing more, and doing things. But did you feel like you had to help kind of instill that? Like, did he come into this offseason with still a belief in how good he could be?
Yeah, I think when I first met him, I think he had a sense of how good he could be. He was a highly recruited kid. I think that you said the word instill. I don't instill anything. All I do is if you have a spark, then I'm gonna pour gas on it, and hopefully it turns into a blaze. I think that's what all coaches do. And so he has a spark, and then I just we go about the business of trying to create a blaze, man, a fire. And so I think it was always there, though. I think it was always there, and I think it's still there now. So, I think that's confidence comes from that, for sure.
Front row right, Bill from the Dispatch.
Malik Harrison's one of these guys that, as well as he's played, he's still somehow is under the radar. What are your impressions of just how good a player he is and what makes him special?
Well, I think Malik has a chance to be one of the best in the country. I think what's and I'll tell him that, there's no like, keep a guy. I'm honest. I think he has the ability, but you got to exercise that ability every day. And so, like you said, he's under the radar. I really can't speak to that, but I do know that he, every game he's in there, he's got to make his play, speak for itself. He has to give that much effort, and really it just comes down to effort. And he's done that. He's given great effort, and I think if he does that, everything else will take care of itself. I think he's very talented. I think he's very bright. I think he's very capable of doing a lot of different things. We had him playing, backer. We had him playing at the line of scrimmage a couple times. I mean, he can do a lot of different things. So, real excited and real excited about where Malik is trending.
One more question about Pete Werner.
Yeah.
There was a game against was it UC, or he played as a deep safety.
Yeah.
Play. Can you explain just how versatile he is and why you have the confidence in him to use him in that kind of role?
He's very athletic and very smart and highly accountable. So I think with any of those guys like that, man, they can do those things because they're gonna do their job, and he has the skill set to do that. I mean, I wouldn't say that he'll have a steady diet of it, but he's good enough to do that, especially on that particular play that we had. He did a heck of a job at it. So. I think he's very talented, but he's very accountable.
And final questions. The front row left up.
Barron and Tuff have played fairly equal snaps so far this year. What have you thought of how you guys have managed sort of that balance with those two guys, and how do you think maybe they complement each other playing?
Yeah, I think, I think we've done a really good job of that because I think, the one thing you see, like on tape when you watch us, at least when I watch, is you see guys run into the ball, man, from the front to the back. I think the way you rotate guys, you kind of preserve some of that extra fire. And so, like, you look at a guy like Barron, he's explosive. He has a motor. I think he's able to play at a high level longer. And then same with Tuff. So I think we've done a good job of that. I think they play off each other well. Tuff and Barron have both played, multiple spots in what we're doing. But I think we've handled that pretty well. And again, every week it's its own challenge. But I think both guys physically are at a place they hadn't been in years past because of that. And the ego shrinks. I think it's about team. And when the next guy's in, they're looking for feedback. Every time we come off the field, they're talking to each other. Oh, what'd you see? This is what I saw. And then next time they go, they play on that. So it's a really good deal. And they're competing too,
And Tuff is a guy, I mean, he's a 2-year captain. We know how much of a leader he is for this team. But he's not playing every single snap. He is out there a lot in important snaps, but he's not out there all the time. Is that, when he seems so important to you, the way you guys talk about him,
he's
for
critical.
the heart of the defense.
Yeah.
What's the conversation like with him? Just, you're not going to be out there every snap, but you're still a leader for us.
Just that. I mean, just what you just said. And explain to him, here's why. Because we want to see you play at the highest level, and it's a long year. So there's no ego in him. I think he understands his role. And I think any leader, like we think about leadership, you have to be seen, but you also have to be heard and felt. You don't need to necessarily be in the arena to do those two things. So even though he's not out there, he still is being heard. He still is being felt because of his ability to engage. So I think that is, to answer your question, how do you lead when you don't play it? And he is playing quite a bit. That's how you do it. And I think he's embraced that and has done a great job, man. Really has.
Coach, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Al.
Yep, no problem. Don't grab that.
All right, folks, we are going to open up the floor for Mike Yurcich.
Hey, thank you. Allergies get me too.
We're going to open up middle, Dave from 247 Sports.
Mike, Coach Day was saying that he thinks Justin is light years ahead of where he expected at this point. Can you elaborate on that, just how far along he is compared to where you thought he would be at this point?
Well, I don't go into it with any preconceived notions. Take it for what it is and try to get better every day. I know it's coach speak, and what we're trying to do is just find ways to improve every day. And off every practice, off every game film that we review, find ways to get better. And how can we help him become the best quarterback that he can be? We're not there yet. And the best part is he knows that there's a lot of room to improve. So it's fun working with him. It's fun working with Coach Day. And we just need to keep on the path that we're on and just be consistent in our approach on a day-to-day basis.
Is there anything specific that you want him to get better at? I'm sure it's everything, but is there one thing that's at the top of the list?
Well, I think the two things that we always preach is just eyes and feet. Make sure your eyes are right. Your eyes are where they need to be. You're focused on whatever movement key it is, at whatever specific route we're running or whatever specific coverage it is we're going against. Make sure your eyes are where they need to be, and then make sure your feet are where they need to be. Be rhythm, be on balance, and throw the ball with good timing. Very important.
Far left, Lori.
Coach, Justin said that he thought he had an issue with his footwork a little bit on Saturday, this past Saturday, but that it wasn't an issue he felt he had a lot of trouble with the first few games. As his position coach, when you hear something like that or see something like that, is it more of a concern because it hasn't been a problem consistently, or less of a problem because it hasn't been cropping up consistently?
I think it's so early still that when you say the word consistently, I don't know how much sample size we have for that to even come up. We need to continue to improve upon those things that I just mentioned with our eyes and with our feet, and be more consistent, whether it be in our drill work and then carry it over to drills like 7-on-7 and see it in team, see it in practice, and then see it in the games. But you can go across the whole spectrum of quarterbacks, whether NFL or college, and you can nitpick footwork and try to get better at those components of the fundamentals that we teach every day, and there's always room to improve. There's always something throughout a game where the footwork could have been a little bit more efficient, and those are the things that we try to critique and get better at every game, every practice.
I think going into this season, the assessment from outside the program was there were concerns about depth at quarterback here, and yet you've gotten some good backup play, and from what I'm hearing, you've gotten good performances from your scout team quarterbacks. Could you discuss what they've been bringing to you guys?
Well, they are very dependable, and I'm not down there when the scout team's going against our defense. But the young coaches on defense do give us feedback of how they're performing so that we can help them and encourage those guys to give great effort, and they have been giving tremendous effort. And J.P. Andrade, for example, played a lot of scout team wide receiver last week and gave tremendous effort. That's the type of attitude that permeates throughout this whole entire team.
Front row, and that was Lori from 610 WTVN. Front row right, Austin from Lettermen Row.
Mike, what to this point has given Chris the edge to be the first guy off the bench?
Well, I think, his approach, I think a little bit more familiar with the system, and we're still, working through the evaluation process and evaluating those guys on a day-to-day basis. So each practice brings an opportunity for us to take a closer look and to give those guys more reps and to see, who will be as we continue to move throughout the season.
How different is it to manage that or evaluate once you get into the season? You want Justin to get ready on Saturday, and it's not training camp. The reps, I would think, are smaller for those two to compete. Mm-hmm. How do you manage that once you get into the year?
You have to be really smart, and you have to try to organize it in a fashion of what plays suits them the best, what they feel most comfortable with, and what areas they need to grow, and what specifically we need to do to help prepare them the best to win us a football game.
Front row right, Joey from the Columbus Dispatch.
Like, is there a point in the season where you need to settle on a backup quarterback, or is that something a bridge you don't have to cross until your QB1 were to be missing for an extended period of time? I guess, how do you kind of...
I think the repetitions are so precious that is very important to come to that conclusion. At the same time, it's in our best interest to keep two guys competing against one another and trying to bring out the best and making sure that we're sharpening our skills as much as we possibly can, and then getting the guy ready as well. So it's a balance between the two.
Front row right, Tim from Lettermen Row.
Yeah, Mike, as you watch your receivers and stuff, what are you seeing develop from that group? Are you seeing them playing better as weeks go on with Justin, when Justin breaks the pocket, et cetera? What are you seeing from that? And then specifically, Chris Olave seems to be taking it up a notch. What's your view of him?
Well, he's a very explosive receiver, and he's very consistent. And he practices really hard, and his want to is extremely high. He wants to get better every day, and he wants to find ways to improve. And I think that group has a very unique style in the fact that we have a lot of experience and we have some youth. And I think the mentorship is very strong in that group. And the younger guys understand that there is a lot of room to grow, and there is a lot of room to learn and to continue to develop their skills. And so they look up to the experienced guys in that room, and they're learning from those guys, and the older guys are mentoring them. So I think it's a good balance with youth and experience, and I think that's making for a really, really strong unit.
Yeah, and one of the things, I think you got a wife and a young daughter, right? I mean,
Yes.
When you go home on a Saturday night and you get a chance, do you watch a lot of football? Or do you try to pollinate the flower? You know what I mean? A little bit, your own brain, et cetera, as you're watching. I mean, that didn't come out right, but you know what I'm saying.
I was wondering where you're going.
Yeah. Are you trying to learn every week when you get a chance to watch other college teams play?
The TV's always on, and it's football, and I'm having the new remote. You know, when you move, you're not used to the remote. So we got a last channel on the remote, and the last channel doesn't mean back, so it's got me all jacked up, so I keep on yelling at the TV. But I'm trying to watch as many games as there are on, and spending time with the family, and it's all fun. And now that we're back home, we usually have a big crew at the house, and we're hosting somebody, so it's a bunch of fun, and happy to be back and have a lot of family around after the games. It's awesome.
Fourth row middle, Patrick from 247 Sports.
Yeah, Mike, how have you seen Justin grow as a leader since he's been here 8 months now, played in 3 games? Just how has that grown? I know that was an important thing you guys talked about before the quarterback battle. It looks like he's taken some strides that way.
I think every leader on a team needs some street credit. I think you have to produce to a certain amount of degree, and he's produced, and I think he feels more comfortable commanding the troops and taking control, and I think that confidence has always been there, but now it's outward. It's more outward. It's not just an inner confidence. I think people can see that, and he's got a I don't know if you call it a swag or just a presence about him that I think players take to, his teammates take to, and there's just I don't know if comfort is the best word, but there is that reliance in your teammate, and the confidence that they have in him and that he has in them as well. And it's a two-way street. And I think his confidence is building in his teammates, and his teammates are building confidence in him, and it goes back and forth, and that creates a very strong unit and team. And I think that's can continue to build. I don't think that the leadership amongst with the quarterbacks is where it needs to be. It needs to continue to grow, and that starts with our room. And this is a long journey that we're on, and we need to continue to work every day at it.
Second row right, Tony.
Mike, the running game's going really well, which has seemingly made the under center play action stuff really effective right now. How would you assess that whole deal right now with that?
It starts up front with our guys up front. They're doing a great job coming off the ball and establishing the line of scrimmage. And our tailbacks are doing a great job coming downhill as well. I think any time that you can line up under center and allow your tailback to get a full head of steam and hit his gaps and be able to have a little bit different viewpoint, getting the ball deeper and getting them downhill, it can help your run game at times, depending on your schemes. And I think Coach Studd, all the coaches have done a great job in that room, Coach Wilson included, Coach Alford, getting the right schemes married up with what we're choosing to run, and that's a big component of it as well. You don't want to spread yourself too thin. You have to have your majors and really try to focus on those particular schemes and not be too broad, because then you get, you're jack of all trades, master of none. And so those guys need a lot of credit, and the guys up front are doing an extremely great job of coming off the ball and mauling people. We need to continue to do that. And it starts in practice. Our guys practice really tough. They practice with great effort, and it's fun to see that growth.
We got time for 2 more questions. Front row left, Mitch.
Hey, Mike, I understand, the focus on getting better every week, but when you have this type of schedule where you have the first 3 games like you did, and then you have another one like this before you get into the meat of the Big Ten, how difficult is that to keep the players on task and keep the focus on, getting better?
I think Coach Day does a tremendous job of getting the players' attention in his meetings, and he has a way of addressing the team that keeps it very energetic and purposeful. But I think the biggest thing with this team is that when we practice against our defense, you can't hide. We compete at a very high level on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, and we go good on good, and that helps. Regardless of the opponent, we're getting better. We're forcing, with that competition, we're forcing each side of the ball to get better, pinning each other against each other to create that competition. And I think that's really important, and that's what goes on here. So regardless of the opponent on Saturday, it's the process of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, good on good, great reps, full speed, toughness, effort, and you see good results.
And final question, second row left, Bill.
Mike, for the average college quarterback, I guess, how difficult is the throw from the far hash to outside the numbers? Because Justin makes it look really easy sometimes, and how much does his ability to do that open up things for your offense passing game?
I think it's a very interesting point that you bring up. I think it can be very difficult if you're not loaded up, if you don't have a good transfer of weight, if you don't have good timing, if you don't have a good rapport with your receivers, if you don't have good protection. There's a lot of things that come into it. How are you protecting those field throws? What particular coverages are you going against? Many, many, many factors fall into that. But the most important factor is the ability to have the arm strength to get it there. And he has that, obviously. At the same time, we have to be correct in our footwork, in our transfer of weight, and how balanced we are, and all of that plays into that. And most importantly is protection. And I know I praised the offensive line earlier on their run blocking, but the pass blocking is just as good thus far. And those are the main keys in making field throws.
Passing game because of that? You can attack basically the entire field.
I think so, yeah, for sure, right? You're not limited in certain ranges and certain types of throws, so you can attack all the areas of the field that you need to. Yes, sir.
Coach, I got one more. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
All the things you guys do in the passing game, where does explosiveness fit into what you want to do in terms of taking care of the ball, moving the chains? How does the risk reward of making big plays fit into your plan?
It's a great question. Again, you don't want to be 2nd and 10. So there's got to be that understanding that big plays will occur, and what situations, depending on who you're going against, what coverages they run, those situations kind of, I don't want to say fall into your lap, but certain situations there's a higher percentage for more explosive play than others. Some of it may be on 3rd down, depending on how much man they're covering or playing. And some of them may be on 1st and 2nd down, depending on what types of schemes that you have from a play action standpoint. But the biggest thing is you want to stay on schedule, so there's that balance. And, that's why you see certain teams try to stay on schedule on 1st and 10 and not taking shots down the field because they don't want to play behind the sticks. So that is the conversations that we constantly have on a day-to-day basis as far as which schemes we plan on going with in a game and what are our 1st down calls, what are our 2nd down calls. And Coach Day does a tremendous job of making sure that, building progressions within our structure so that the deep ball is not there. You simply take your checkdowns and you're still being efficient with your throws and managing the game and staying on the schedule. Those are the keys. The hard ones are when you're calling a two-man route, and you're taking a shot down the field. And I think the biggest thing is when you're calling those plays, you have to have faith that your guys are going to get open. You have to like your matchup. So who are you going against? What's the matchup? All of those things come into factor when trying to manufacture explosive plays down the field.
And last thing on Justin, he's played so well. You guys have played so well offensively. When we talk to Justin, he's pretty straightforward. He's not giving us a lot of juicy quotes about how good he is so far. Why is he like that?
Oh, you'd have to ask him and his dad and the folks that raised him. I mean, I can't go into the psyche of him and why he's not juicy, as you say. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think right now he's probably just trying to make sure that he's saying the right things in the media and doing the right things and gaining the respect of the fan base and his teammates. And he knows he hasn't arrived yet. It's early, and there's a lot of work to be done. And I think the personality will naturally come. And I don't think you can force something like that. And I think he's doing the right things of just being himself, and that's all he needs to do.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Actually, I want to make a comment. This week is Extra Yard Week for teachers, so if any of y'all was teachers, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I got a couple of shout-outs to Amy Fugate, Mike Fernandez, and Emily Rowe. They made a huge impact on me in high school, so I appreciate them, and I appreciate y'all. All right, now we can start. What's up?
Who was the first one?
Amy Fugate.
Amy Fugate. Okay, just wanted to make sure. All right, front row left. Lori?
Maybe talking about personal statements you've made, you also came out earlier this year talking about the importance of mental health. I'm wondering what kind of feedback you've received since then from fans, teammates, coaches, that sort of thing.
I've gotten a lot of feedback, just, people showing their appreciation for, me not only stepping up and, using this platform here at Ohio State to speak out about a sensitive topic, but, I've had a couple opportunities that I'm going to try to capitalize on here soon to just kind of go and, express, my story and my journey a little bit more. So I've had a lot of positive feedback, and I'm interested to see, what I could do still, kind of pressing and influencing people as far as this topic goes.
We're interested in following you along in these opportunities. What should we be keeping an eye out for?
I don't know yet, to be honest with you. I'm still trying to figure it out myself.
Front row left. Nathan from Cleveland.com.
Hey, what's the correlation you're seeing right now between how well this team is stopping the run, maybe especially on the early downs, and then the success this team's having on third down?
Be honest with you, so I was sitting up there kind of listening to Coach speak, and I give a lot of that to the fact that we play a lot of football in practice. We've been playing a lot of football in practice since camp has started. We do a lot of one-on-one, twos-on-twos, and it's one of those things where when you got the best on the best, it allows you to simulate the game the best that you possibly can. And it's one of those things where once we get to the game, a lot of it is we've seen it, we've done it, we've been through it, we've repped it, Lord knows how many times. And I feel like we're prepared going into a lot of those situations.
If you say you're going ones-on-ones a lot, and I know you don't get to, go live probably hitting, especially the quarterback, but how does going up against Justin making this defense better?
It's one of those things where he is a phenomenal football player, both physically and mentally. His IQ level is ridiculous. It's through the roof. And it's one of those things where up front, if we don't do our job, get pressure on him, no, we can't hit him, but we can try to collapse the pocket and make him throw in the tunnel. Give him different looks up front to where he has to make split decisions. And then on the back end, they have to do certain coverages and they'll show one thing and do another. So his elite level, not only physically but mentally, makes us. We have to come prepared and we have to perform on a day-to-day basis, because if not, he'll pick our defense apart.
Front row right, Tim from Lettermen Row.
Yeah, BB, as you've watched you guys on video, but even when you're out in the mix of it all, how well do you think you and Devon are playing? Sometimes, maybe a couple times together, but just at that nose spot. But the force y'all are bringing. I mean, what's just sort of the attitude when you guys are in the game?
The biggest thing for us both, on what I can speak on Devon's half, is we just try to go in the game, play our game, and impact the game the best that we can. Between me, him, and Tommy Togia as well, it's just all three of us have different styles of play, and we understand where we fit into the defense. And it's even crazier because we've had pretty good games these past 3 weeks, but it's so much more we need to improve on. So that also helps us not get complacent. He pushes me, I push him, Tommy pushes the both of us, we push Tommy, and then we try to help develop him mentally, just because we've been here so much longer, just as far as understanding the game, understanding, different things that you might see in the game. So we all feed off of each other, and I want to say one of the biggest things is we get happier for each other's success more than we do for our own.
What is it like being a part of this defense this year to date, as opposed to last year when there seemed to be a big scramble going on? I mean, just what is it like feeling-wise after games, et cetera?
Honestly, man, it's all fun. At the end of the day, each year that I've been here, and I've been here a long time, as you already know, each year it has its own unique aspects. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's just this year we're having fun. We're having fun playing together. We're having fun going out to practice, even when it's a grind day. When it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday and a Thursday, it's hot. We full pads. We're banging 1s-on-1s, 2s-on-2s, and you actually enjoy going through the grind together. You know what I mean? So you just make so many memories, so many unique moments, and like I say, just having fun.
Front row right, Austin from Lettermen Row.
BB, I was watching you warm up on Saturday. I think you were the last one out there, but you had Coop helping you. He seems really raring to go. How frustrated has he been, or supportive has he been the last few weeks as he's trying to get back out there?
Coop is Coop. I love Coop. He's one of the best teammates and one of the best people I've ever come across. Regardless, our relationship is going to always be solidified, no matter when we old and wrinkly or while we enjoying it right now. So,
is there still a sense? Then you talked about how that defensive line could still get better. I mean, you haven't had Coop. Tyreek's only played, I think, 6 quarters. Some of that you're just going to get naturally better just because you get them back. Is that a sense too that the best is still ahead of this group?
Yeah, but I think the biggest thing for us is the best is still ahead, but the mindset is we still just got a lot of work to do. You know what I mean? Just watching us, just sitting back sometimes, just watching from the sidelines, watching the boys, is phenomenal. Sometimes I catch myself being a fan, you know what I mean? And then we get to film, and it's like what I'm seeing is special, but it could be 100 times better. So it makes the grind and the pursuit, fun. I don't know, man. It's going to be a fun season to see how it all plays out.
All right, Bill from the Columbus Dispatch.
BB, do you have any idea what you guys are averaging giving up yards per carry this year?
I have no clue.
1.7.
Oh, that's ridiculous. And it's crazy because we could be a lot better. So, I don't know. Our biggest thing, we really don't even worry about the stats too much. How we look at it is if we just keep developing, keep working on the little things, keep gelling together, not only as, units, but as a defense, as an offense, as a team, it'll be special what we could do later on down the road.
Why do you think you've been so good against the run? Obviously, you've got talent, and you've honestly played overmatched teams, but is there something that you guys are doing differently this year?
It goes back to, like I said, we're just playing a lot more ball within practice. In camp, we'd have a little bit of indie, team, a little bit of indie, team, teach, team. So I feel like we've played so much football going into the season, which is one thing that we hadn't done in the past, and I feel like overall it's really prepared us to where we are now, and then especially going against our offensive line. It's one of those things where if you don't come bringing your A game every day, one of them's going to put you in the dirt. You know what I mean? Even if you bring your A game, you still might get put in the dirt. And then, you know, the backups, the twos, they compete at a high level as well. So if we're doing scout, if you don't come bringing your A game, they will put you in the dirt. So it's like you have to compete on every level. There is no point in time in practice where you could just chill. You can calm down. You know, you're getting game reps consistently on a day-to-day basis, which is hard to do, and sustain a high level of playing.
We got time for just a couple more questions. Fourth row left, Andy?
Yeah, so when a team hits a trick play against you, does it change your approach to that team at all as a defender, or is it just like this one thing happened, let's learn from it and move on?
That's one of those things where you're going to face adversity during the game. Something is going to happen that you did not see on film going into every week. You know what I mean? You can prepare for as much as you can prep for, but you will never be able to prepare for everything. So it's one of those things, and it's kind of a part of the tradition of, you know, Ohio State is when adversity strikes, rally together, turn the page, on to the next play, make some adjustments, go forward.
And over here, far right, Clay.
Hey, maybe on the topic of sitting back and watching, do you watch Olave? Do you find your eyes going, noticing him? Because he might catch a touchdown, he might block a punt, he might sell popcorn. I don't know.
To be honest with you, one thing about Chris in particularly, the things that you see him do in the games, he doesn't practice on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? So it's spectacular to watch. It's fun to watch. I enjoy it. Our offense is a show every week. They're a pain in practice Monday through Thursday. So it doesn't surprise me that he's performing at the level that he's performing, but it is fun to sit back and just watch it.
Davey, thank you very much.
Thanks, Davey. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, man. Thanks, always a treat.
All right, we're going to open up the floor for Justin Fields. Third row left, Jared from WCMH.
Hi, Justin. Ryan was talking earlier about film study, video study, and it seems like it's one of those moments where you can feel like you played pretty well coming off the field after a game. What is it like to go into a video session and nitpick it and look at it and go, we left so many points out there? What is that video session like for a player?
It's a learning experience, but it's also kind of a look. It's kind of like a wow moment. Like we still play pretty well, but we did leave stuff on the board. So it's just kind of like we have so much room to improve. So it just makes it kind of more exciting.
Second row right, Tony from the Ozone.
Justin, Ryan Day was out here earlier, and everybody that's come up here has talked about how much more work you guys need to do to be better and how many things there are to clean up. Has that been a constant message, or is that a this week thing?
I mean, it's been a constant message. We've been improving. The team feels like we've been improving each and every week. So we also feel like our ceiling's very high. So just kind of looking at the film, seeing the mistakes we made during the game, it just gives us more excitement and a higher ceiling. So if we can clean all those other things up, we have the sky's the limit, really.
Has that been something they've maybe like this week you've been getting from your coaches about just hammering it even more than previous weeks?
No, not really. They're just saying just because we've been winning games, don't get complacent and just keep working like it's the first game of the season. So just kind of keep that same approach and just keep doing the same things during the week.
Front row right, Bill from the Columbus Dispatch.
You were self-critical on Saturday when you watched the tape. What did you see? Was that justified? Was it better or worse than you thought it would be?
I mean, it was the same, I guess. I mean, there's too much things I missed on Saturday. Too many throws I missed on Saturday. But again, that's just on me. And I've been working on that Sunday. I worked on it a lot. And yesterday we watched film over the game again. Was yesterday Sunday or Tuesday Monday? Sunday we watched film over the game. But yeah, so just seeing all the improvements I can make, and I think it'll definitely help my game.
Talking about your leadership, and obviously you can't come in first day and be that guy. You got to, as he said, earn street cred. Mm-hmm. When did you feel like you started to do that, and where are you in that process of feeling like, okay, I'm a quarterback, I'm a good player, I have to be the leader on this offense?
I'm not really sure. I mean, we've been in this building pretty much every day, so I'm not sure like of the exact day, but I just kind of got comfortable each day. So just kind of having that role on the team as being a quarterback, I just felt like there was a time, and just kind of when I felt comfortable, that's kind of when I just did it more and more. So it kind of was a gradual thing happening over time.
Front row middle, Dave from 247 Sports.
Justin, Coach Day did talk about how you have to get better and better, but he also said that you're further along in your development than he expected. He used the term you're light years further along than he expected at this stage. Do you feel the same way? Do you feel like you're a lot further along than you expected, or is this kind of what you expected after 3 games?
It's kind of what I expected. I mean, I knew I came in here with the kind of a mindset where I have to do all I can to be the best player I can be. So just kind of seeing myself where I am right now, it's not surprising, but it's definitely like, I guess, I don't even know, to be honest. I don't even know the word, but I'm just glad to be in the place I am right now. So.
Right next door, Nathan from Cleveland.com.
You said after the game, you mentioned about the footwork and how you thought that was affecting some of your throws. Is that something that you just sensed? Was it something feedback you were getting from the coaches during the game?
It's just both. Coaches told me, Coach Davis told me on the sideline, and I felt it too. So just kind of staying firm in the pocket and just delivering strong throws. And then usually when I have a wider base, that makes me more accurate too. So just kind of keeping the wide base and just kind of moving in the pocket around.
Is it feedback that you want in the moment? Because I think like in terms of like there's baseball hitters who, some of them if they're like stealing signs, they want to know what pitch is coming. Some of them don't want that in their head in the moment, like while they're going through it. Do you want that during the game? Can you process it?
I mean, I think I do a good job processing feedback and just kind of pointers during the game and kind of applying it to the game. So I know some people might need time to work on that stuff, but I think I do a good job adjusting with my body and just kind of fixing those things up.
Far left, Lori from WTVN.
Actually, again, on the footwork issue Saturday, since you said that it wasn't as much of an issue against FAU and Cincinnati and all them, I know caveats about sample size, but is it more of a concern because it cropped up suddenly, or less of a concern because you just saw it?
I feel like it's just reps, really. I mean, it's not really more of a concern because it had me going through practice, just thinking about that all practice. So it's definitely going to get me better as a player. So I'm not really concerned about it at all, to be honest with you. I'm just glad it popped up now and not in the critical time of the season. So I can work on it each and every day.
And final questions, front row left, Doug from Cleveland.com.
Justin, you've had a lot of success so far. You've been pretty low-key with us about your success, just keeping it focused on the team and getting better. Is that how you are? Are you making yourself kind of keep it under control? Or?
I mean, I feel like I've been like this my whole life, really. So my dad's always told me to stay humble, so I'm just going to keep doing the same things I've been doing before the first game, before all this noise from the outside came up anyway. So that's my plan, and I just feel like as a team, we're just going to keep doing that and just work each and every day.
When I'm going to sound like an old man saying this. When you hit the whoa in front of the team in preseason camp, is that the right thing? Did I say it right?
Is that the right thing? Oh, yeah.
That's how you say it? You hit the whoa. Is that a moment? Does a quarterback, and I'm being serious about this, does a quarterback need to be able to get up in front of his team and hit the whoa? Is that when you're being a leader, you're establishing yourself and showing your team who you are?
I feel like quarterbacks can show the team like stuff like that, and just leadership and just kind of chemistry with the team in different ways. Because not every quarterback in the world can hit the wall quite like me. But I think there's different ways that quarterbacks can kind of get control of the team. So I just use that opportunity to just really just kind of show the team who I really am, and just kind of, I guess, catch their eye a little bit, really. So.
Thanks for bearing with me.
Justin, thank you very much. All right, folks, we are going to open up the floor for Mr. Wyatt Davis.
Yeah, before I'd like to get started today, I'd like to give a shout out to Mrs. Dolphin. She was my chemistry teacher in the 11th grade at St. John Bosco, and she just always put the extra time and care to help me understand the material. So I'd like to give a shout out to her for extra yard for Teachers Week.
Thank
can you sort of talk about the physicality of this offensive line? It seems like you guys and the coaches have talked about how you're blowing people off the ball in these first few games.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of been the emphasis since fall camp. We wanted to change, the culture and what people were already making assumptions about us before the season even started. We're a young team, and, we lost a lot of guys. So that's really just been the emphasis on kind of getting up on teams early and just trying to, assert your dominance as early as you can in the game. And, so far up to this point, I feel like we've done a pretty good job of doing it. Obviously, we're still looking on ways to get better as the weeks go on, but we've definitely been trying to just play physical and play hard. So I think we've been doing a fair job at that.
Front row right, Bill from Cleveland, from Columbus Dispatch.
I watched the replay of the game, and one of the commentators said that after talking to IU's coaches, they said the right side of the line was, they thought, the weaker side of the line. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Have you heard that? And does that give you motivation? Do you have a reaction to that?
Well, yes, I did hear that. And, I just try not to focus on, stuff that comes from outside the team. And, I understand that, I get that there's probably going to be multiple comments like that made throughout the season. If you look at it, Bowen, he did start for, a season, but he also got hurt and he was out. And then for me, I don't really have that many game reps, so I could see how teams could say that. And, I just try not to pay attention to it and just play the game of football and, let my game say otherwise.
How well do you think you and Brandon are playing?
I feel like we're getting better as the weeks go on. We're meshing very well. It's very fluid, and we're on the same page as far as like every play goes. And I feel like we're just continuing to get better as the weeks go on.
And right next door, Joey from the Columbus Dispatch.
Particularly with Brandon, it hadn't seemed like there had been a ton of pressures or much coming from the right tackle spot. What does he do well in pass protection?
You said, what does he do?
Brandon Bowen, what does he do well in pass protection?
He just does a great job of being patient and using his hands. He has the experience, like I said. It's not his first time going through, and he started and already showed that he belongs to be a starter. So each day in practice, he just takes a huge emphasis, especially going one-on-ones, working on his craft, and just continuing to get better. And it shows as the games go on with stuff like that, with no pressures and stuff like that.
Second row right, Tony from the Ozone.
Wyatt, you guys, all five of you, the starters, have graded as champions each week so far this season. Is that something you guys have now talked about? Is it something, I know it's something you strive for, but is it something that you guys are now, how do you not think about that, but also, try to live up to what you guys have done?
We definitely obviously celebrate the wins and stuff like that, and kind of grading out, like all of us grading out champions. It's kind of been a cool thing with these past couple games going on. But, we obviously, it's exciting, but we put that back, and then we just focus on the mistakes that we made in those games that we could improve further on. So, it's more so cool just to think about, like, we're all executing at a high level, and that if we continue on this path, we could be something really special. So, we kind of just try to keep it grounded for the most part and just focus, on the next game and how we can get better for it.
Is there what happens if, say, you are the one who doesn't and the other four do? Is there a desire to avoid that? You don't want to be that one guy.
Yes, and that's another thing. It adds kind of our own little rivalry thing. Right now I think Jonah has the most knockdowns, so everyone's kind of trying to, knock him off the top. So, it adds its own friendly little rivalry to it. And obviously, if the whole offensive line is grading out champion, if you're not, you don't want to be that guy. So it pushes us to work harder in practice and to go harder in the games.
Fourth row middle, Patrick from BSB, Buckeye Sports Bulletin.
Wyatt, on that 26-yard J.K. Dobbins touchdown run, it looks like you kind of got out into the second level and helped bring that. Is that something that was schemed for, or did you just do that on your own?
Yes, it was something that was schemed for. I was accountable for that linebacker, and it just so happened, that when I stayed and tried to finish the block, I got in the way of the other defender, and that's what our coaches have been preaching to us this whole year, is to finish your blocks, because you never know when your block could be the block to kind of spring things open. And as far as my perspective, I just felt like I was just doing my job, and that was something that, happened out of it. But, it was exciting to see. I mean, and too, that run was crazy. He was looking like Marshawn Lynch out there. So it gets you fired up too, because what J.K. brings to the table, and he runs super hard, and he's been getting better as the weeks go on as well.
Michael Jordan actually gave you a shout out. The center or the Cincinnati lineman gave you a shout out for that play. How does that feel to get recognition from a guy who was here, doing that?
It feels really good, especially coming from Mike Jordan, because when I came in this program, that was a guy that took me under his wing, and I looked up to. So the fact that they're still tuning in and watching us, it means a lot, and it kind of tells you how special of an opportunity that we have to play the game, because he constantly tells me how much, and he's at the highest level, and he tells me how much he misses playing back here in the kind of the brotherhood of that we have, and the tradition of the games and stuff like that.
We got time for just a couple more questions. Front row left, Nathan from Cleveland.com.
The offensive line is graded out as champions, as we were just saying, but coming out of that first game, Coach Day was like, well, I didn't really feel like all the fits were there. Did you take Saturday's game, the big breakout that JK has, as any indication that those things were lining up better? Did you guys come out of that thinking, we helped make that happen?
As far
offensive line, as a unit, yeah.
As far as that run, you're saying.
I mean, just for him to have that kind of production, him and Master, I guess, both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, no, it's definitely a sign that we're doing our job, and just even the smallest little crease that we give those guys, they can turn into something huge. So, and you were just talking about as far as the execution.
What has gotten better from week 1 to week 3? Even though you guys are grading as champions the whole time, how have you developed over these 3
I would say finishing blocks has gotten a lot better. We've been working, and that's been the emphasis for us, is because, from that first game, there was a couple times where, maybe if we would have held that block a little bit longer, the play could have broke out to be a huge play. So definitely that's been the focus, has just been holding our blocks longer and just finishing until the whistle. So I feel like in the Indiana game we did a good job of doing that, and that's why you were able to see some of those huge breakout runs from J.K. and Master Teague.
And final question, Lori, did you have a question? I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean,
Lori from WTVN.
This is important. Like, when did pancakes become knockdowns, and why can't we bring back pancakes?
I'm actually not too sure about that one. I miss pancakes too, but we still call it pancakes. But I just think that actually is a really good question. I'm not sure why.
How many does Jonah have, in all seriousness?
How
far away are you?
I think I'm close, but I think he still is kind of in the lead. I think he has like 4 more than me, 4 or 5. I'm actually not too sure actually. Yeah, on the pancakes, definitely need to bring that back.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much.
And we are going to open up the floor for senior cornerback Damon Arnette. Open up 5th row right, Spencer from Lettermen Row.
Oh, hold on. Before we start, it's a teacher appreciation. You know what I'm saying? I want to give a shout out to Mr. Aloma, my math teacher back in high school. You know what I'm saying? He was the coolest teacher in high school. Always looked out for me. Let me eat lunch in his class and stuff. Yep.
What's his name?
Mr. Aloma, Dr. Aloma, A-L-O-M-A. Yeah, give him a call.
5th row right, Spencer from Lettermen Row.
Hey, Damon, early in the game, Indiana seemed to be throwing a couple deep balls to Jeff, and then later in the game, they tried to target you in the red zone. Just kind of wondering, if you're an opposing quarterback, where would you throw into this defense?
I'd probably just throw bubbles, try to throw bubbles or something. I wouldn't throw the ball down the field because that's dangerous.
How much confidence are you guys gaining right now? I know that you guys seem to be playing really well, and kind of have to scale that back based on who the competition is, and as it gets more into it, it might not go your way every single play. But how much confidence do you guys have right now compared to where you might have been at this point in the past years?
We got just as much confidence as we need right now to continue on playing as we plan. And it's really because we know how hard we work this off season, the summer, the winter time, and we just know it's gonna pay off.
Third row left, Jared from WCMH.
Hi, Damon. We've asked you several times about your decision to come back to school, but my curiosity is, now that you've played a few games, is there a moment where you realized, I made the right decision? Was it running down the field Saturday for a return, or was it something that we would never see? Was there a moment that you did this right?
The interception just reminded me, like, I told you should have came back. But the first time I realized it was just really first game, you know what I'm saying, getting ready, you know what I'm saying, for FAU. I was like, this is what you came back for, to be here with all your brothers. I look around and see this everybody I wanted to be here with. So that first game coming out the tunnel is when I realized I made the right decision.
And are there moments showing up now in games where you feel like a different athlete, a different player, not just physically, but in your mental approach to the game, than you would have felt a year ago?
Yeah, for sure. And I just feel like that has a lot to do with the confidence that everybody's playing with, the confidence that I have in me doing my job, the confidence that I have everybody else in doing their job. We all out there working as one unit, you know what I'm saying, and it's just fun being out there with everybody.
Third row left, Dan from 11 Warriors.
Damon, that interception you returned for touchdown, do you say that's the biggest play you've made in your Ohio State career?
That's the biggest play I made in my life. But the thing is, like, I just know how hard the D-line was rushing. You know what I'm saying? They do it every play. So I was really just a pawn in that whole play. You know what I'm saying?
Is that the kind of play, the kind of game you had Saturday that you envisioned yourself having when you made the decision to come back?
Yeah, there's a couple more coming, you know what I'm saying, from the defense, but that's the start.
What are the biggest ways in which you feel like you've improved from working with Jeff Hafley and being a part of his defense that will make you a better player when you go to the NFL next year?
Working with Coach Hafley, he's definitely improved my knowledge on, like, understanding formations and concepts and everything like that. And when you can recognize formations when they come out, it slows everything down from you, because then it's like eliminating certain things and just understanding football a little bit better. That's what he's helped me done.
Front row right, Joey from Columbus Dispatch.
Damon, after the game, Coach Day was mentioning that you had stuff in the classroom to take care of in spring and summer, getting ready for the season. Can you walk us through what was that like? And I imagine that was a lot of, if you come back for your senior season and having to go through all that stuff, that makes for kind of a wild off season.
Yeah, I had to pass like 18 hours or something like that.
To graduate, because you wanted to graduate.
Yeah, to graduate, because I'm graduated. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it was worth it, man. It wasn't that difficult doing. You know what I'm saying? It's just school, and it was for a good reason. You know what I'm saying? So last year it was really all or nothing. So it really was no complaining going into it. The more I embraced it, the faster time went by, and then the more I got better in just certain areas of life. You know.
Front row right, Bill from Columbus Dispatch.
Have you thought, what if I had gone pro? What if I really had, I mean, is there a doubt in your mind whether you'd even made a team? You're going through a year now?
No, there wasn't no doubt about that.
Okay. But to come back here and have this kind of start to the year that you've had, what does it mean to you?
I'm just excited because I think we gonna win a natty, you know. I'm just speaking it into existence. I'm just excited because I have great teammates, you know what I'm saying? Every time we go into practice, like, I'm around great athletes, great people, and just the whole environment of being in the Woody is just, you know what I'm saying, it's just great, you know what I'm saying? It's fun being out here, no matter how bad my body hurting or whatever, like, knowing I come just to be a part of this team, it's like, don't be that guy to complain right now. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah.
Time for a couple more questions. Second row right, Tony from the Ozone.
Damon, the interception return, I think Ryan Day said after the game he was so excited. He said he wanted to run down there and punt the ball into the end zone.
Yeah, he get that from me.
So what's it like having the head coach get as excited about that as you were?
You know what I'm saying? It's motivating. You know what I'm saying? Because you wanna do it again and make him hype again. Like he said that, I was like, all right, we're gonna get another one, see if you really do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just fun. It's a lot of fun out there, but Coach Day makes a strong emphasis on knowing when to have fun and knowing when to lock in, and I feel like we do a great job of both. So.
Front row right, Austin from Lettermen Row.
Damon, you were really open about some of the criticism that you took in the past and the hate and all that. Did you not want to take any opportunity to respond to those and tell them that you told you so?
Oh, no, they just got to keep watching. You know what I'm saying? They just got to keep watching. I really don't even want to say nothing for real because I know how Buckeye Nation is. It's love, it's hate. They just want greatness, you know what I'm saying? And when they don't understand how to express they want greatness, they just could be mean sometimes. But I could be mean too, so I ain't tripping. Yeah, so.
But do you think about that at all? You talked about the decision to come back, but you know what you've gone through and what people have said, and it wasn't just the interception, a couple of PBUs that were big on Saturday. I mean, does that go into your mind at all?
I mean, I'm just like, after the game, I was like, all right, it's the start now. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything that's happening right now, I saw happening when I decided to come back to school. So y'all just seeing it right now. And y'all eyes gonna continue to keep on getting bigger because we got some more stuff to do, for real.
And final questions. Front row right, Tim, Lettermen Row.
Yeah, Damon, specifically on that play, though, the interception play that, like you said, biggest play you've ever made to now. Would the Damon Arnette of 2 years ago have chased that play and not been there? You understand what I'm saying? Where have you seen yourself really evolve from the standpoint of staying home and good things come to you?
Yeah, just the game is slowed down more. Like, people might be moving fast, but I'm seeing it in slow motion for real. I'm just able to lock in on what I need to be doing and not worry about a lot of things around me. And that's what I feel like everybody's doing a better job of is just locking in on their job. And when everybody's locking in on their job, somebody gonna make the play. You know what I'm saying? Like, on that specific play, the D-line was locked in on rushing the quarterback, and I know he had to get it out of his hands quick. You know what I'm saying? So that was really a big team play. You saw everybody running to the end zone with me, so it was fun.
What is it like to be on a unit like that now, though? Because last year at this time, we were asking y'all all kinds of questions. What's wrong? I mean, y'all were giving up plays out the gate, et cetera. What is it like being on a unit now that seems to be, like I said, with few exceptions, taking care of your responsibility?
It's just everybody's out there with a different mentality. You know what I'm saying? Like we not into proving people wrong no more. We into just proving ourselves right. You know what I'm saying? Because if we trying to prove ourselves right, that's an everyday thing. You know what I'm saying? You trying to prove somebody wrong, you could wake up the next day, they proved wrong, then what? You know what I'm saying? So as long as we know how good we are, we know what we can be, I just feel like we just gonna keep going. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna keep on rolling. So.
Great, Damon. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.